Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and the Blizzcon Online is going to be happening this weekend, actually Friday as well as Saturday, which is going to be very soon. In just a couple of days, we'll get some new happenings of what Blizzard has cooked up for us for the future of World of Warcraft, as well as other games. Shadowlands so far has been very exciting, but we know there's future patches on the horizon. We've already had a little bit of updates with 9.05, and Blizzard even let us know that that patch is going to be sometime in March. So already Blizzard is preparing for some of the big new things for us to talk about. And one thing they haven't talked about is 9.1, or potentially 9.2, maybe a 9.3. We don't know how many more patches there will be to Shadowlands, but it's definitely exciting to wait and find out to see what the future holds. In this video, I want to take a break from the regular content to just kind of talk about some of the things that got me super excited when it comes to BlizzCon, and some of the things that I'm really hoping to see, primarily focusing on World of Warcraft. So let's first talk about what other games we're probably going to see and which ones I'm mostly excited for. We're probably going to have something about Overwatch, definitely going to have something about Hearthstone, maybe something about Heroes of the Storm, and maybe we'll have some more Diablo 4 stuff. Out of all the things, we're probably going to have Blizzard talk about just a bit about every single franchise, but Diablo 4 out of any other game is the one I'm very excited about. I'm not even much of an ARPG player. I played a little bit of Diablo with a friend of mine, but looking at that game, while super fun with friends, it does look a little bit dated. So a fresher, newer version of Diablo 3 with more grittiness, amazing cutscenes, and fun gameplay systems, and just something fun to do with friends, I think would be super cool. And of course, we'll have a lot of stuff when it comes to with Shadowlands. This expansion so far has been very enjoyable, and I've been having a lot of fun. I've been leveling alts, and I got more alts on the way. Lots of my guildies and friends have been playing the game non-stop, whether it is for PvE or PvP purposes. Castle Nathria so far has been enjoyable, except for the gear drops sometimes. Mythic Pluses are very fun, again also for gear drops, but it looks like Blizzard already had some stuff in mind of how they're going to fix it in 9.05. I'm pretty sure we're going to have even more information about 9.05, and mostly Covenant changes, maybe some legendary adjustments and Torghast updates, but I am still excited for it. I think it's going to be really good. And I think there's probably going to be more stuff that Blizzard is thinking of when it comes to fixing PvE gear from the Mythic Plus and the Raid counterpart, because the PvP gearing so far has been really good. So we're most likely, if not this BlizzCon, in future blue posts as well as more testing on PTR, we'll probably start to see updates slowly but surely. But I don't think that Blizzard is mostly going to make the BlizzCon all about 9.05. I think 9.05 is going to be mostly down to us getting big, massive info dumps over on Wowhead, and then being able to go to PTR and test a lot of the features. And I'm very excited to see what some of the features they will test, because I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to release something in-game during the day of BlizzCon, or release some massive set of information and adjustments on PTR the day of BlizzCon, middle BlizzCon, or a day after BlizzCon. We're probably going to get something to actually physically play with or even test probably by the time BlizzCon is over. But where I think they'll focus on is potential 9.1. There's a lot to talk about in 9.1. And one of the things that I think Blizzard is going to talk about is, first of all, the story. We have Sylvanas, we have the Jailer, and in their clutches is Anduin. So of course we're going to have more stuff with the storyline, where that's going to go, and where potentially the stories could go. Then we have the Covenants. Just recently, when you play through all the stories of the Covenants, you just got them to get re-established and kind of become their own again. But the Shadowlands isn't completely fixed. There's still this massive anima drought, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what kind of stories they'll put for that. And the stories will most likely be part of that vehicle to kind of advance us towards future goals, maybe even into a future raid, which most likely will happen. I wonder if we'll get more dungeons in the future patches, because right now we only have 8 dungeons to play with. Now, these 8 dungeons are fantastic, and I think the Shadowlands dungeons are much better than the majority of BFA dungeons. For BFA, there's only a handful of dungeons I enjoyed, one of them being Freehold, but in comparison to Legion, Legion definitely had a lot more fun and memorable dungeons in my opinion than BFA did. And Shadowlands already beating out BFA, I think is a good thing. So I wonder if we'll get new dungeons and new content, and maybe even a new continent to go to. In previous expansions, we've gotten new zones, like for example in Legion, at first we didn't have the Broken Shore, then a patch came out, we got the Broken Shore. Next patch we had is full Argus with 3 new zones. And while Shadowlands already has the zones linked to their covenants, 4 covenants being the main covenants, I do wonder if they'll add new zones for us to explore in this expansion. But how would that play out? Because right now we have the 4 covenants, and each covenant has a zone to them, or I guess like a plane of the afterlife. And I wonder if we'll be seeing maybe other planes of afterlives, but it doesn't really look like Blizzard is going to add more covenants. So maybe we could be seeing some other afterlives from other worlds. There was something way early into the expansion when you do your first introductory story, when you first get sent into the Maw, having to find Jaina, Thrall, and Anduin, and then you find out the Waystone, you go to Oribos. During that time, I believe Anduin talks about how there's souls from other worlds. So maybe that's something that Blizzard could do. Maybe they could somehow hint towards a future expansion by allowing us to go to a plane where souls from another world altogether could be going. Not Argus or any of the worlds we visited in the past, but worlds we've never seen. Maybe worlds that could somehow eventually lead us towards a new expansion. Another thing I'm hoping we see is class balancing and class tuning, covenant tuning, legendaries, and maybe even Torghast. But let's go over this stuff in order. Class stuff, I think, is always good. Blizzard continuously tuning classes in order to make them closer, more even to each other, make classes that are weak stronger, and classes that are way overpowered a little bit more in line with everyone is a struggle that's gonna last forever. But with a new patch, we also get a new tier and a lot more secondary stats. Primary stats included, but secondaries are going to play a much bigger picture. Certain classes scale better with stats. So with endgame gear, that's where we'll see those classes do the best with their full potential. Other classes scale poorly with stats, so they'll do really well at the beginning of an expansion and will scale poorly as we get towards the end of the expansion. So I'm hoping the Blizzard continues doing the scaling as well as the tuning for a variety of classes. And I wonder if we'll see a lot of the gaps that certain classes have shored up by potential tier sets. Because Blizzard has been teasing the idea of tier sets for a while. We haven't had any confirmations that tier sets, yes, will 100% be exactly as tier sets were, but it will make sense. People miss tier sets from previous expansions, and with no Azeroth gear this expansion, it makes sense for tier sets to return, to allow classes to be improved upon certain aspects of the game that they're really not good at. Plus, also, you will get different tier set looks. If you are going to be bringing them in, you better bring the looks. And for all the classes to start looking different from one another would be awesome. I kind of miss the days when rogues look like rogues, Death Knights look like Death Knights, Demon Hunters look like Demon Hunters, and monks look like monks. And while I understand why they did for BFA, you know, the leather set, the blade set that worked for all those classes that use that type of gear, it made it easier to make it, but also you could put more time into those sets so they look cool. And even if rogues get a really bad looking tier set at the beginning, I still would enjoy if tier sets were to return perma. I do miss them from previous expansions. Hopefully Torghast will have even more stuff. I really want for Blizzard to go super hardcore hamo into Torghast and really make it wacky. Just really take off any kind of tuning, take off any kind of balancing, and let players make insanely cool, fun builds. But also would like a lot more Torghast abilities in the future of Torghast, just so we can have some more build variety, and we never see the same build twice in a row every time we do a Torghast run. I think that would be really cool, and if they were to really lean in into this whole roguelike experience and give you a lot more variety in powers and more diversity and less of repetition, I think that would be a really good idea. I wonder if we'll get to the point where we're using double legendaries, and I wonder if Blizzard has been planning on more legendary things and more legendary powers for us to collect in the future, as there's a lot of legendaries, but I really think that they should maybe do more tuning to the legendaries we have. Make it so that spec-specific legendaries are a lot closer and a lot more powerful than non-spec specific, especially for a few specs. There are some specs right now that don't even like those spec-specific Legos, and I feel like that's something that could be gameplay changing if we had more interesting and stronger designed legendaries that were more spec specific. But the one thing I think that Blizzard should continue doing is, because this expansion had no new class, they should continue iterating and trying to go for big class changes. I really want to see some Shadow Priest-esque changes, where Shadow Priest went from BFA, where it was an incomplete priest that needed borrowed powers, into a Chad priest that didn't need borrowed powers, was actually fully competent and playable by itself, and the Covenant abilities and powers only augmented your playstyle even further. But even if you were to take away the Covenant and the Legendary from the Priest, it still will be a damn good class. And I'm hoping that they do this kind of rework for other specs and classes that feel incomplete. There are some cool playstyles that can be done and brought back from previous expansions, and that's exactly what they did for Priest. Simple tweaks to make the class play better. And I'm hoping they'll continue doing more for classes going forward, especially those that find themselves kind of stuck in BFA, where they were either bogged down with GCDs or were overly reliant on borrowed powers, like some like Demon Hunters, Survival Hunters, and there's probably more specs in this list that you could add that probably need some kind of a second look. But that's probably going to be everything that I have for this video. Let me know what you guys are expecting for Blizzcon and what are you super excited for. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.